You're listening to the Rural Remix podcast feed, your source for deeper, richer stories about life in rural places. Welcome to Living Traditions, a podcast about folk life in Central Appalachia. I'm your host, Nicole Musgrave. On today's episode, we're taking a look at how farmers and gardeners are helping maintain the region's biodiversity. Our first stop, a seed swap. With the summer gardening season at its end, many growers throughout Appalachia are turning their attention to seed saving. It's a practice where gardeners select the seeds from their best crops and then save them over winter to plant the following spring. This past April, we visited the annual Appalachian Seed Swap in Pikeville, Kentucky. We learned how important seed saving and swapping are for maintaining Appalachia's biodiversity and for creating a tasty meal. Reporter Teresa Collins has the story.
The cafeteria at Pike County Central High School is typically crowded with hungry students grabbing a bite between classes. But today, the main event is all about seeds. The room was full of vendors. One booth sells jam and baked goods. Another has hand-labeled packages of seeds laid out on a white plastic table. Another booth sells locally harvested honey. Joyce Pinson and her husband Charlie helped start the Appalachian Seed Swap back in 2011.
We started out the first year with just 4 or 5 tables, and we've grown up to about 40 vendors. We're one of the largest seed-saving swaps east of the Mississippi River.
The story of this seed swap started with a disaster and a cushaw, a type of winter squash.
We had a flood here about 8 or 10 years ago up on Harless Creek, and we nearly lost what is called the Farmer Brown white cushaw.
The Farmer Brown cushaw was a variety cultivated by the Brown family of Harless Creek. The Browns lost a lot of their heirloom seeds in that flood.
It's something that this community is real proud of, that we had this specific cushaw, and we nearly lost it during the flood. There was only a few seeds left.
That's because the Browns hadn't really shared their cushaw seeds with anyone outside their family. The experience showed the Pinsons how vulnerable their own seed collection was by not sharing them more broadly. And so, the swap was born. To honor this history, each seed swap begins with the ceremonial cutting of the cushaw, where someone cuts open a cushaw and shares the seeds with attendees. Charlie Pinson's the MC this year, and well, there's a little change of plans.
Here we're going to do the cutting of the pumpkin today. All of our cushaws brought into the wet weather.
It apparently wasn't a good year for cushaws. Pinson introduces John Woodworth of Possum Bottom Farm, who does the honors of cutting.
He's been every seed swap we've had, and he's going to do the ceremonial cutting of the pumpkin, not the cushaw.
Woodworth takes a knife to the round orange gourd, cutting into the scalloped edge of the fruit, and the swap has officially commenced.
And now we'd like to welcome everybody to the seed swap, and have at it, folks.
The seeds found at the Appalachian Seed Swap are nothing like what you'd find in the grocery store or even in most seed catalogs. They're unique and highly specialized seeds that grow delicious and location-specific vegetables. Neil Hunt co-founded the Appalachian Seed Swap with the Pinsons. He was inspired by his experience tracking down a specific tomato he remembered from childhood.
We just assumed we could go to the grocery store, buy tomato plants, and find them when we wanted. Well, of course, we had no luck finding that.
The tomato in question was an orange beefsteak tomato that was once popular in eastern Kentucky, but over time it became hard to find. Hunt eventually met a 99-year-old man here in Pike County named Cyril Blackburn. He'd been growing that very tomato for 7 decades. Blackburn sent Hunt home with 12 tomato plants that day. Hunt nurtured those plants and began sharing their seeds.
If you look in the seed catalogs, like the heirloom seed catalogs, you'll find the Cyril Blackburn tomato, because we took it to some of their seed swaps and we shared the story, and of course you get to name it, and we want to name it after him to honor him for his work in saving it. So the Cyril Blackburn tomato is a perfect example of what seed swaps are.
Like the Cyril Blackburn tomato, many of the seeds at the Appalachian Seed Swap are named after the people they came from. There's a Charlie Jones or C.J. Greasy bean, and there's Bessie beans, a variety Ronella Chafin has brought today. They've been in her family for 4 generations. They're named after her grandmother.
You can put any name you want. This is a white heirloom greasy bean. Somebody down here may call those Uncle Joe's beans because they got them from Uncle Joe. And they may be the identical bean, but without genetic testing, you can't tell.
While most seed savers don't genetically test their seeds in a lab, They're all practicing a form of genetic selection. Steve Todd of Knoxville, Tennessee, is here with a bean seed called the Donald Todd Half Runner.
Donald Todd was my father, and in Morgan County, Tennessee, he started back in the 60s with a commercial half-runner bean.
Todd says his father spent 2 decades refining those beans through genetic selection. Anytime he'd find a bean on the plant that was too tough, he'd get rid of it.
He would follow the vine to the ground, and he would cut the vine off, and he did that for 20 years, selecting for all tender beans. After about 20 years, there were no more tough beans in it, and so I continued the tradition.
Todd says that at the beginning of the seed-saving process, the seeds are mostly unstabilized. That means they don't always produce the same plant every time.
I have unstabilized beans. You plant them, and it's just like humans. You get a rainbow. You get every kind of look in the world.
It takes several generations of selection before a seed becomes stabilized.
You keep selecting for certain characters or colors. After a while, you can develop a stable variety, but it takes several years.
For John Kuykendall, saving seeds is a way of saving the flavor and genetic diversity of Appalachia. Kuykendall has written a book about seed saving. He regrets how much seed variety has been lost since the industrialization of agriculture.
We've lost so much over the years.
Monoculture prioritizes hardy seeds that often sacrifice flavor and variety for resistance to drought or pesticides. Kuykendall worries about the genetic diversity that's already been lost to industrial agriculture.
As a seed saver, my biggest regret is that we didn't start 150 years ago. We waited basically till the 11th hour to really get started on this.
Today, families with kids stroll through the cafeteria. A mom is holding a son in her arms, and children run around through the tables. Kuykendall sees these seed exchanges as a way to pass the region's biodiversity to the next generation.
You just look around this room and you see all these people coming up. A lot of them are young gardeners just getting started. And there's people that want to eat real food. In other words, not a plastic tomato or a bean that just tastes like grass.
That's the best part of heirloom seeds. They grow food that tastes, well, good. Kuykendall is the master gardener at Blackberry Farm, an upscale farm and resorts in East Tennessee. He says you won't find tomatoes on the menu there when they're out of season. And if guests want to know why?
Tomatoes are like Santa Claus. They come once a year, take it and be thankful. The rest of the time they are like plastic and styrofoam.
Kuykendall looks forward to tomato season every year.
My favorite time is tomato sandwich time. That's when you've got to have the Duke's mayonnaise, plain old white bread, slather that with the Duke's mayonnaise, great big slice of tomato or two, and then you've got to stand over the sink as it runs like a waterfall.
Like Kuykendall, Joyce Pinson also recognizes the importance of maintaining Appalachia's biodiversity through seed saving and swapping. She says these swaps are critical for spreading local seed varieties to other locales away from Appalachia.
After these floods, we've learned that if we don't get the seeds out there to somebody else that's not in eastern Kentucky, that we might lose them.
This lesson played out in real time at a seed swap a couple years back.
About 2 years ago, we had another flood come through, and a woman that had traded seeds with one of our Michigan vendors, she came back looking because she had lost her seeds, and she found them with this fella that she had swapped with. And she just stood there and cried. And that's why it's important to me. Appalachia is underrated in a lot of ways, but we have a really deep diversity of culture and agriculture.
These growers will help sustain that diversity by sowing their safe seeds and enjoying the tasty fruits and vegetables of their labor. For Living Traditions at the Center for Rural Strategies, I'm Teresa Collins in Pikeville, Kentucky.
In Richmond, Kentucky, where the Appalachian Mountains kiss the bluegrass, Brian Chadwell is growing something unexpected. He's a fourth-generation farmer, and he's using his family's land to grow rice. Rice isn't something typically produced in Kentucky, but this was Chadwell's third year growing it. Since he started, he's gotten support from organizations such as the Organic Association of Kentucky and Grow Appalachia, along with the Jubilee Justice Rice Project, a program that teaches Black farmers how to grow dryland rice. Growing rice on dry land instead of in flooded paddies is considered more environmentally sustainable. It uses less water and reduces the amount of methane gas that's typically emitted from flooding methods. This past spring, reporter Teresa Collins visited Chadwell's farm, where he shared about his journey into growing rice.
I was mowing grass for myself, and I just got tired of it. Wanted to get back into farming, but wanted to do something different. And I just got on the internet, started searching, just looking for different stuff to grow. And somehow I come across dryland rice. That was in winter of 22. Now here I am trying to grow acres of it. So this farm I think is 197 acres, and they have another one across the road that is 290 something. My uncles are in charge of it all, and I'm in charge of just this field back here. This rice operation, it's about 10 acres. As long as I can remember, in my 37 years, this was alfalfa. It was an alfalfa field. It was a pasture, then it was an alfalfa field for quite some time. And then it went to hemp, and then it went to soybean. And then it stayed stagnant for a year. And now I've taken over, and now we're gonna try to make it a rice field. I got my first little half pound of this red rice. That was 2 years ago, and so I've saved a seed every year. I usually run it through a seed cleaner, and I turn the fans up. So whatever is the seed that's light blows into a different trap, and all the heavy seed falls down. And to me, that's the better seed. And so I'll take that seed and put it in a bag and just put it in a dark spot. And then over the winter, probably, I don't know, a month, 2 months before I get ready to start seeding in the greenhouse, I'll do like a little germ test, make sure they're good. I soak my seeds in water as well as molasses. And that molasses acts as a carbohydrate to the seed. Gives it some energy, gets it kick-started. And we plant it at the seedling stage. Once it reaches the seedling stage, it's when we start putting it out. The rice is funny. There's so much to it to get that yield. Dealing with the stress, heat stress. The heat stress comes from warm nights. And the heat and stress, some of it's from not being soaked in water. Rice doesn't have to grow in water. It's there to kill weeds mainly, choke weeds out. Rice hates to compete with weeds. But doing it like that, it also helps to cool the plant down at night. Flooded rice will soak up arsenic, and I believe that it may also soak up, if I say it wrong, correct me, cadmium. This rice will soak up cadmium. One problem that people will have here in Kentucky is a lot of the flat ground was all tobacco fields. There's a lot of cadmium in tobacco fields from the fertilizer, so you have to watch that. If we continue to lose family farms, it's all going to be controlled by corporation farms, and we have no say in what we eat unless we start making a change, learning how to grow food ourselves. I believe that I can take this whole entire 6 acres. I think that I can take it and do good with it.
I recently followed up with Chadwell to see how his crop did this year. Due to hot temperatures and high humidity at the start of the growing season, most of his crop was taken out by disease. He's only been able to harvest a fraction of what he initially anticipated. But Chadwell's already looking forward to next season, when he'll get to experiment with some new approaches. He's hopeful that one day he'll be able to set up at local farmers markets and offer a food to his community that's not currently available: locally grown rice. You've been listening to Living Traditions on the Rural Remix podcast feed. Music from today's episode is from Sarah Kate Morgan and Leo Shannon. Teresa Collins reported both of these stories, and Marty Newell assisted with sound. Alana Newman helped produce our first story about the Appalachian Seed Swap. Living Traditions is a project of the Center for Rural Strategies. Thanks for listening.